In India, a mountain of garbage can grow so high that it needs warning lights for helicopters, while people born in the same country are now leading Google and Microsoft. And that is only the beginning of the story. About 3 hours by car from New Delhi, there are still communities where women depend on prostitution to support their entire families. At the same time, India builds spacecraft, preserves temples that are thousands of years old, and is home to cities that seem to be in constant motion. In this video, we will explore 15 facts that reveal an India very different from the one usually shown in travel photos. And as we move closer to number 1, details that may seem unrelated at first will begin to connect. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and tell us in the comments which image of India surprised you the most. Number 15. The hidden water crisis behind India. For many travelers, simply hearing about food and drink in India is enough to make them think of Delhi belly, the familiar term for digestive illness that can happen during a trip there. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention also places India among destinations with a high risk of travelers' diarrhea, with about 1/3 to 1/2 of international visitors likely to face this problem during their first 2 weeks' time. But the cause is not always the food itself. Behind many meals, drinks, and everyday routines lies a much larger issue: the water supply. Niti Aayog once reported that about 70% of India's surface water is polluted, affecting the water source that around 600 million people depend on. Household sewage, industrial waste, and parasites can all appear within the same system that people use everyday time. In many cities, travelers are advised not only to avoid drinking tap water, but also to be careful even while showering. The problem begins with urban wastewater, agricultural activity, and rivers that receive heavy amounts of pollution. So before thinking about temples, festivals, or street food, understanding the water situation and choosing a safe water source should always be a top priority when visiting India. Number 14. Little-known extremes in India. If you gathered almost every type of landscape in the world into one country, India would be one of the closest examples. In the south, Kerala stretches out with calm backwaters, rows of coconut palms, and green tea hills that seem to go on without end. As you move north, the land rises higher and higher until it reaches the Himalayas, home to the tallest mountains on Earth. And at Kanyakumari, the southern tip of the country, the Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal, and the Indian Ocean meet at one point, creating a rare and remarkable crossroads. But behind that natural diversity lies a reality that is mentioned far less often. In some communities in southern India, marriage between close relatives once existed as a long-standing custom, including first cousins, and sometimes even an uncle and his niece. In some places, the historical rate was estimated at between 30 and 60%, while the comparable figure in the United States is lower than 0.2%. In genetic terms, when both the father and the mother carry the same recessive gene, the risk of conditions such as thalassemia or sickle cell anemia becomes higher. Combined with the water-related problems mentioned earlier, some areas still continue to face long-term health challenges. And from this story about family structure, the next section will take us to a reality that is even more surprising. Number 13. Unusual marriages and harsh survival in India. In the Nilgiri hills of Tamil Nadu, the Toda community once maintained a very rare form of marriage. One woman could marry several brothers within the same family, in order to keep land and livestock from being divided across generations. Today, the Toda population is down to only about 1,100 to 1,800 people, and this custom has almost disappeared. In recorded history, fewer than 50 cultures are known to have practiced a similar form of polyandry, leaving Tamil Nadu and traveling about 3 hours from New Delhi to Alwar district, the story shifts to a much heavier reality. In some villages, prostitution has continued across generations within the same family, with women becoming the main source of income. Government estimates suggest that India has around 2 million to 3 million sex workers, most of them between the ages of 15 and 35. The roots of this situation have been linked to the British colonial period, especially the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, when many nomadic communities were labeled as hereditary criminals. Many of them had once been artists, dancers, or performers, but gradually lost their traditional way of earning a living. Within those communities, women are often the ones who bring in money, repay debt, and make sure the family has food. For them, this is not a tradition to be proud of, but mainly a way to survive. Number 12. Surprising customs and cultural rules in India. For many travelers, a mistake that seems very small in India can still make others uncomfortable. Using the left hand to handle food. In many communities, the left hand is traditionally associated with personal hygiene, so meals are usually eaten with the fingers of the right hand. According to Ayurveda, the 5 fingers also represent earth, water, fire, air, and space. Eating with the hands is therefore not considered uncivilized. For many people, it creates a more direct connection with the food time like threes. In Indian culture, cows also hold a special place. In 22 of the country's 29 states, killing cows has at times been considered illegal, and in some places it can lead to prison sentences of up to 14 years. West Bengal even once issued identification cards for cows in an effort to reduce illegal cattle trafficking. Another controversial custom from India's history was sati, in which a widow died on her husband's funeral pyre. British authorities banned the practice in Bengal in 1829, while India strengthened the nationwide ban in 1987 after the death of an 18-year-old widow in Rajasthan. Time, so threes. On the streets, gutka is also easy to recognize from the red stains left on walls and sidewalks. Tens of millions of people have consumed this chewing tobacco mixture every day, while India has been estimated to account for nearly 70% of reported oral cancer cases worldwide. Number 11. The Ganges River, sacred amid a pollution crisis. For more than 900 million Hindus, the Ganges is far more than a river. It is also worshipped as a living goddess. Many people believe that bathing in its waters can wash away sins, while being cremated along its banks can help the soul escape the cycle of rebirth. As a result, tens of thousands of cremation ceremonies take place each year along the famous Ghats of Varanasi. Time. But behind this spiritual significance lies a completely different reality. According to India's Central Pollution Control Board, about 3 billion liters of wastewater flow into the Ganges every day, while only a small portion is treated before entering the river. In Varanasi alone, levels of fecal bacteria have at times been recorded at more than 100 times the safe limit recommended by the World Health Organization. India also continues to report more than 120,000 new cases of leprosy each year. To improve conditions, the government launched the Namami Gange program in 2014, with a budget of about $3 billion. By 2024, more than 200 wastewater treatment facilities had been completed. This represents a major effort to reduce the amount of untreated wastewater entering the river. Even so, the river water in Varanasi is still considered unsafe to drink, showing that a wide gap remains between the sacred meaning of the Ganges and its environmental reality. There is still much more ahead. If you enjoy journeys that explore people, culture, and places rarely shown on tourist maps, subscribe to the channel and continue traveling with us ×6 But for now, let us return to India, because the story is far from over. Number 10. Indian street food, where flavor, fire, and belief meet. Street food in India is not only part of everyday life, it also forms a massive industry. The National Restaurant Association of India estimates that this sector generates more than $25 billion each year and provides full-time work for about 2.7 million vendors, more than the total number of restaurants across the entire United States. Time. 3s. In Chhattisgarh, some tribal communities make chapra chutney from red ants, ant eggs, and naturally occurring formic acid, giving it a very distinctive sour taste. Many local people also consider it a traditional remedy. In Old Delhi and Mumbai, visitors may come across fire pan, a betel leaf filled with spices and dried fruit that is set on fire and placed directly into the mouth while the flame is still burning. When the person closes their lips, the flame goes out almost immediately, and some people believe the snack can help relieve coughs, colds, or headaches. Time. But for many Western travelers, the biggest surprise is not the red ants or the fire. It is seeing vendors knead dough, press sugarcane, and prepare food with their bare hands. In India, this is not always viewed as unhygienic or careless. For many people, food carries a sacred meaning, and using the hands directly is also seen as a way to create a closer connection between the person and the meal. Number 9. Dharavi, the slum that generates billions of dollars. In the heart of Mumbai, Dharavi covers an area of only about 1 square mile, yet it is home to more than 2 million people. Its population density has been estimated at more than 1 million people per square mile, many times higher than Manhattan. Inside its narrow alleys, even 2 people walking in opposite directions can sometimes struggle to pass each other, while many families share a single water tap that works for only a few hours each day. But Dharavi is known for much more than overcrowding. According to the World Economic Forum, the area generates around $1 billion to $1.5 billion each year through more than 5,000 small businesses and about 15,000 single-room workshops. Nearly 80% of Mumbai's recyclable dry waste is processed here, while around 250,000 people work in the plastic recycling industry. Leather workshops also supply materials to a number of international brands, showing that Dharavi's production network reaches far beyond the appearance of the neighborhood. By 2024, a redevelopment project worth about $3 billion had opened the way for thousands of new apartments. Even so, many residents do not see Dharavi as a place that needs to be saved. For them, it is first and foremost a dynamic working community, where thousands of families earn an income and build their lives within the crowded spaces of Mumbai. Number 8. India's Toilet Revolution. In 2014, the Indian government launched the Swachh Bharat campaign, also known as Clean India, after a shocking reality came to light. Around 594 million people were still practicing open defecation every day. During the early phase, more than 500,000 household toilets were built, but many of them were barely used. Some families even turned them into storage rooms. Time 3s. The reason behind this was not only related to daily habits. In the traditional Varna system, handling human waste was historically considered ritually impure, so toilets were often placed away from living areas. Bringing a toilet inside the home meant changing a belief that had existed for nearly 3,000 years. At one point, India even had more mobile phone subscribers than functioning toilets. Even so, the campaign later brought a major transformation. According to the World Health Organization and UNICEF, the rate of open defecation fell from around 40% to about 7% by the end of 2024, and in many urban areas, it had become almost non-existent. Time 3s. In less than 10 years, around 550 million people gained access to toilets at home. Some researchers consider this one of the largest improvements in public sanitation recorded within a single generation. Number 7. The lasting traces of India's caste system. In 1950, India's constitution officially banned discrimination based on caste, but for nearly 200 million Dalits, equal to about 16% of the population, reality can still be very different. For generations, they were often associated with jobs that other groups refused to do, such as handling dead bodies, removing waste, sweeping streets, or carrying out burials. One Dalit person once said simply that some people still do not want to walk beside them. In some poor communities mentioned earlier, children can even face difficulties when registering their births because official documents require the father's name. Even so, India also reserves about 22% of government jobs and university seats for Dalits and other historically marginalized communities. From 2017 to 2022, Ram Nath Kovind, a Dalit, served as President of India. At the community level, change is also being driven by ordinary people. Guru Nagar, a teacher who taught himself to read and write, now educates children born into families involved in sex work. One of his students, the daughter of a woman in that profession, told a film crew that her dream was to become a flight attendant. That story shows that although the effects of the caste system are still present, education and new opportunities are creating a different path for the next generation. Number 6. Aghori. The ascetics who live among Varanasi's cremation grounds. Along the ghats of Varanasi, amid the crowds of pilgrims, you may sometimes see people standing apart, dressed in minimal clothing and covered in gray ash from nearby cremation grounds. They are the Aghori, a very small religious group known for extreme rituals, including practices involving human remains. Their core belief is that nothing in existence is truly impure, including death, decay, or things that society often views as frightening or disturbing. To follow this philosophy, some Aghori live near cremation grounds and deliberately try to erase the boundary between what is considered sacred and what people normally avoid. This tradition is believed to have connections to the Kapalikas, an ancient tantric movement that emerged around 400 to 700 years ago. Today, only a few thousand Aghori remain, most of them living around Varanasi. It is important to remember that they represent only a very small branch and are not representative of mainstream Hinduism, a religion practiced by more than 1 billion people worldwide. Their existence reflects a very different side of India, where sacred beliefs and practices that outsiders may find difficult to understand can still exist side by side, even in the heart of a holy city. Number 5. The Indian village where doors stay unlocked. In Shani Shingnapur, a small village in the state of Maharashtra, one of the first things that surprises outsiders is the near absence of locks. From simple homes and grocery stores to even a bank branch, many places have only door frames, without actual doors or locks. Residents can still go to sleep or leave their homes for several days without worrying too much about their belongings. That sense of trust comes from their belief in the god Shani, who is said to protect the village and punish anyone who steals with blindness or prolonged misfortune. For generations, this spiritual belief has almost replaced the metal locks that much of the rest of the world considers essential. But as more tourists began visiting the village, that absolute sense of security started to show cracks. Several reported thefts led some businesses to quietly install surveillance cameras. Even though many homes still continue the old way of life today, the village remains one of the rare places showing how faith can directly influence the way people protect their property. The doors may still remain open, but caution has not disappeared completely, showing that this long-standing tradition is gradually adapting to the changes of modern life. Number 4. The massive gold reserve, held by Indian women. Inside ordinary homes across India lies a vast store of wealth that much of the world rarely thinks about. Indian women are estimated to hold around 21,000 metric tons of gold, equal to nearly 11% of all the gold in the world. That amount is even greater than the combined national gold reserves of the United States, Germany, Switzerland, and the International Monetary Fund times 3. But in India, gold is more than jewelry worn at weddings or on special occasions. It is also connected to the concept of stridhan, a woman's legally recognized personal property, which can serve as financial security when life changes. From small rings bought after months of saving, to wedding bangles passed from mother to daughter, gold carries both emotional value and practical importance for the future. Across generations, the habit of saving wealth in gold has become a familiar part of family life. Jewelry kept in boxes or cupboards does not represent tradition alone, time's taken threes. Behind that golden shine is a distinctive form of personal wealth, allowing millions of women to hold assets of their own and turning ordinary homes into places that contain one of the largest privately held gold reserves in the world. Number 3. The Sacred Rat Temple of Karni Mata. In Deshnok, in the state of Rajasthan, the Karni Mata Temple is a place that makes many visitors stop in surprise from the moment they step inside. More than 25,000 black rats move freely across the stone floor, weave between the feet of pilgrims, and gather around bowls of milk and food placed there for them. But here, they are not considered pests. Local people call them kabbas and believe that each rat is a reincarnation of the goddess Karni Mata and members of her family line times threes. For worshippers, sharing food with these rats is a normal act, while having them run across your feet is considered a sign of good fortune and blessing. Some people even drink milk that the rats have touched as part of a religious ritual. But while walking across the temple floor, visitors must be especially careful. According to traditional rules, if someone accidentally steps on and kills a rat, that person must make amends by offering a rat statue made of pure gold time. Amid the dim temple lights, the sound of prayers, and thousands of small animals constantly moving underfoot, Karni Mata stands as one of India's most unusual temples, where something that may frighten outsiders is seen by local people as a symbol of faith and divine protection. Number 2. The mysterious skeleton lake in the Himalayas. High in the Himalayas, at an elevation of more than 16,000 feet, Rupkund Lake lies among the snow-covered slopes of northern India. For most of the year, the lake remains frozen and nearly disappears beneath a thick layer of snow. But when summer arrives, the ice begins to melt and an unusual sight slowly emerges. Hundreds of ancient human skeletons scattered around the rocky shore, with some still clearly visible beneath the freezing water. For many years, the origin of these remains was a major mystery. More recent studies have helped uncover a story believed to date back to around the 9th century. Scientists found unusual fractures on many of the skulls, suggesting that some of the victims may not have died from war or disease, but instead were struck by a violent hailstorm while traveling through the mountains. The hailstones falling from the sky are believed to have been nearly the size of baseballs, large enough to cause severe injuries to people with nowhere to take shelter. Threes. When the snow melts, Rupkund once again reveals traces of a tragedy that remained frozen for centuries. Surrounded by a cold landscape almost completely isolated from the outside world, the lake still feels like a cemetery in the sky, where nature has silently preserved the remains of human lives for an extraordinarily long time. Number 1. The home of one of the world's largest families. In Baktang village, in the state of Mizoram, a striking 4-story purple building rises among the hills and looks more like a hotel than a private home. But behind those walls lived just one family. Ziona Chana once shared this house with 39 wives, 94 children, and more than 30 grandchildren, creating one of the largest families ever known. Inside the house, there are around 100 rooms, and for hundreds of people to live together under one roof, daily life had to be organized with great discipline. A single dinner could require more than 30 chickens, about 130 pounds of potatoes, and nearly 220 pounds of rice. The wives took turns preparing meals in enormous cooking pots, while the children and grandchildren handled cleaning, livestock, and many other everyday tasks. Everyone had a specific responsibility to keep life in this enormous household running smoothly. After Ziona Chana died, the four-story house remained standing among the hills of Mizoram as a reminder of a way of life very different from what most of the world knows today. This place is remembered not only for the extraordinary number of family members, but also for the way such a huge family ate, worked, and shared the same living space under one roof. India is not a place you can understand after seeing only a few images. One street may reveal poverty, while somewhere else, engineers are sending spacecraft to the moon. A tradition may have existed for thousands of years, even as the life surrounding it continues to change every day times threes. Perhaps the most fascinating part is not how many unusual things India contains, but how so many completely different realities continue to exist within the same country. Some problems have not disappeared, some changes are still unfolding, and there are also achievements that have captured the attention of the rest of the world. Time. 3s. That is why one video could never be enough to fully understand India. If you had the chance to visit, what would you most want to see with your own eyes? Share your answer in the comments. And if this video gave you a new perspective, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and continue with us on the next journey.